Following Reform UK's announcement earlier today about their London mayoral candidate, the Tories are also stepping up their game. Here are the first two Conservative candidates. Oh, it's all getting heated now. Everybody's preparing for the next London mayoral election. Time flies, absolutely. When it comes to these sort of elections, it feels like it was yesterday that we had Sadiq Khan winning again in London, and now everybody regrets that somehow, even though they all voted for him. So, 8 years. Well, I think, 9 years so far of Sadiq Khan, because obviously there was a problem with the lockdown days, so they had to delay the election, the second election. Now we've got the Tories. At least two have confirmed that they are standing. They are slightly different type of candidates, but at least all candidates are against ULEZ. But there are technicalities, and there are more to be announced. So this is the primaries. So people are putting their name forward. One of them is Samuel Kasumu, who actually attended the anti-ULEZ rally that we went to in central London a few weeks ago, and he spoke there. He used to be Boris Johnson's advisor when he was mayor of London. And Samuel is good. He said that he wants to have a referendum on ULEZ, the ULEZ expansion. Although I would rather have a candidate who would just say, if you vote for me, I will just completely scrap it. But he wants to have a referendum. And obviously, that's still okay. But the issue we have is that he hasn't really clarified whether the referendum will be on the whole of ULEZ or ULEZ expansion. His opposition mostly is about ULEZ expansion, not the whole of the ultra-low emission zones, which is still in central London. So that's slightly difficult to find out. We're going to get more details, obviously, as we go forward. He is pretty sound, but he's still part of the Tory party. And he's from the semi-liberal wing of the Tory party. Not complete, but a little bit. He's been doing some diversity stuff a little bit back in the day. But he's been endorsed by Priti Patel, Grant Shapps, Steve Baker, I'm not really sure. It's a weird mix of endorsements. And Richard Taylor, the father of Damilola Taylor, the 10-year-old Nigerian school boy who was who lost his life in 2000. Now, that's one of the issues that we have is the Tories have the primary, which is good. You're going to get so many different types of candidates. But the issue is that central office usually have the last say. They control the narrative. So we have, technically on paper, one of the best candidates who's also standing is Susan Hall. Susan Hall, she's been a star in the City Hall. She's from the Conservative wing of the Tory party. She's pretty sound on everything else. She's repeatedly destroyed Sadiq Khan in City Hall. We've done videos about her on this channel. We've spoken to her. And she's standing on the Common Sense platform. And she's from the Conservative wing of the Tory party. She wants to basically also oppose ULEZ and all the other pro-big government measures of City Hall. Although, again, I'm just quite curious, why is it that there are some Conservatives in the Tory party who are speaking out on a local level, or when it comes to London, Greater London level, about big government policies, but they're not really saying anything about their own central government. What's happening with the national cabinet in the country with all the intrusive policies? That's also a different problem. I'm not really accusing Susan Hall in this situation, but there are other people like Susan who are pretty quiet when it comes to Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt. Now, the former City Hall leader and the Tory leader, Susan Hall, obviously announced that he's going to be promising a common sense pitch to sort out the mess created by Sadiq Khan. She said that we need to beat Sadiq Khan so we can get the police working again, stop punishing people with unfair taxes, and build a lot more homes in the right places. Not too long ago, London was a safer, happier, and more tolerant city. It can be that again. If I am your candidate, we will get there. The only issue for Susan Hall is, I always say this, a lot of people claim that London is a Labour city. I would say London is primarily an anti-Tory city, and then by default they vote Labour. Although the demographic changing massively over the last decade or so, it is becoming a Labour city, but still not primarily, because you've got Greater London, the Outer London, and it's a big, massive tent of different type of people. But the Tories and their branding, they will struggle, definitely. And with Reform UK also having Howard Cox standing, which we're going to be talking about after this video, is going to be creating some sort of challenge. There are more Conservatives who are trying to announce that they are running. Andrew Boff, who stood last time and failed, it might also be running. He's from the Libertarian wing of the Tory party. And we have Paul Scully, Minister Paul Scully, as an MP. He also, he's Minister of London. He also wants to stand. He's the MP for Sutton in South London, or Surrey, essentially. But I'm also not really sure about having government ministers or former ministers running. It's two establishments. I don't know. It's if you're in a party in government after 13 years, not really sure that's the right pick as a candidate. And he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. But that's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. If the Tories want to have any bit of a chance to win in London, you need that star power. You need someone with common sense policies. You could go out there, not get accused of being part of the establishment. London, whether you like it or not, they might be a bit socialistic in London, but they are anti-establishment. You can't have a government minister telling them, you can trust me. Yeah, you've been in power for 13 years. You haven't done anything. Let me know what you think. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.